China's one-child policy is making its 38th anniversary with it this week. Among other moral issues surrounding it is the plight of widows and baby girls in China. Here with more on efforts to help them is Reggie Littlejohn with Women's Rights Without Frontiers. Reggie, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, tell us how China's one-child policy results in tremendous victimization of widows.
Oh, well, what happened basically is that there was a population explosion under the Mao era. Then after that, they went down to one child. It was six children per woman, then went down to one child. So they've got this enormous elderly population that is heading towards retirement without the young population to support it. And widows are particularly vulnerable because they have spent their lives raising children, whereas widowers many of them have the ability to work. They have no ability to work. So approximately 71% of widows in the countryside are dependent on family members to support them, but a lot of them don't have family members to support them because of the one-child policy. So they are destitute and committing suicide. China has the highest female suicide rate of any country in the world, and there is a tremendous spike in senior suicide because of the desperate economic circumstances and also abandonment by family members that seniors in China are suffering because of the one-child policy.
Heartbreaking. What is Women's Rights Without Frontiers doing to help them?
Well, we are absolutely unique. We are the only organization in the world that has a network on the ground inside of China that is saving baby girls from sex-selective abortion, and we've saved hundreds of baby girls. And that same network has found these desperate widows. And what we do is we go to their door and we say, we're here to help you. And so what we give them a monthly stipend. And for some of them, it makes the difference between eating and not eating. So, for example, there's one widow, Mrs. Lee, whose husband died decades ago. Her family is not caring for her, and some days she only had money. She had no money, so she couldn't eat anything except salt. She had bought herself a rope to hang herself with when life got too tough. And we came to her door and we're giving her the Chinese equivalent of about $20 a month, which makes the difference between her eating and her not eating. And these widows are incredibly grateful that even though their own family has abandoned them, that there are people from the other side of the world that are willing to come to them with desperately needed help.
Tell us about the efforts of your group to help save baby girls in China.
Well, one of the things that is one of the unintended consequences of the one-child policy is that because of son preference, people were and continue to selectively abort baby girls. Even under the two-child policy, second daughters are still very vulnerable because even if they have the first baby that's a girl, they'll let her live, but then they're saving that second child slot for a boy. And girls continue to be selectively aborted and abandoned. And our network will go to the door of a woman that we find out is being pressured by her husband and her in-laws to abort or abandon her baby because she's a girl. And we will say, congratulations on your daughter. Girls are as good as boys, and we will give you a monthly stipend for a year to empower you to keep those daughters. And that enables her to go to her mother-in-law and her husband and say, I can't abort, I can't abandon these babies, these baby girls. They're lucky girls. Look, they're already bringing into the family money. And so we are able to use the culture around luck to counteract the culture around son preference, and we've saved hundreds of baby girls in this way.
China is facing a lot of problems due to this policy. Do you see the government changing it?
Oh, it is changing it. China's moved from a one-child policy to a two-child policy, although forced abortion still exists under the two-child policy because it remains illegal to have a baby if you're not pregnant, or if you're not married, excuse me. And it remains illegal to have a third child. But they are desperate for people to start having babies, and because they know that they are facing this demographic disaster, because right now 241 million people are elderly in China. That's 17.5% of the population. By the year 2050, that number is going to double to 500 million, almost half a billion people, which is 35% of their entire population. So they don't know what they're going to do about this. They don't have Social Security. And I really fear for these seniors. And that's why we have been reaching out so strongly to these elderly widows to keep them from falling through the cracks and killing themselves.
We applaud your work when we're praying as well. Thank you so much, Reggie Littlejohn. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.